Hi guys, so it's Diana again. I'm going to film part 2 of my BRCA1 and preventative mastectomy story. So part 2 is going to focus on the mastectomy surgery itself and the time very close around the surgery and kind of what I experienced, the things that I did, and the decisions that I made. So to kind of backtrack a little bit with the pre-op sequence. So when I was given a BRCA1 positive, I was expected to see an oncology surgeon who was would be responsible for any uterine cancer or ovarian cancer or anything like that. I was given a breast surgeon who would be the one doing my actual mastectomy should I decide to have one. And then I was also expected to have yearly MRIs and 3D mammograms. So October 2019, I told my oncology surgeon that I was ready to have the mastectomy surgery. So before I had made that decision, there were some lifestyle changes that they'd had me make. One included getting myself off of birth control pills. I'd been on them for about 17 years. So that was one big change that I made ahead of the surgery. Another change I made was trying to lose weight. So I changed my diet. I started eating a lot healthier, a lot less of specific food groups. So dairy and soy became things that I sort of avoided because they just didn't really make me feel that great. And I later learned that soy just isn't something that BRCA1 people should have a lot of anyway. If you want to know more about that, I would suggest doing your own research. It's a pretty varied topic with differing opinions. So check that out if you're interested. So once I had made the decision to have the actual surgery, there was kind of a sequence of appointments that I had to do. So again, October 2019 was when I made the decision. They then scheduled me for an MRI early February 2020. And then pre-MRI, so I think about 2 weeks before the MRI, it was maybe mid-January, they scheduled me to see my plastic surgeon. So at that appointment, that's when we discussed the options for what she would be doing. And if you go through this process, they're going to lay out, you can have pre-pectoral, post-pectoral, you could have no implants, you could have silicone or saline or nipple sparing, non-nipple sparing. There's all of this medical jargon that they'll kind of throw at you. So if you're going to go to this appointment, I would definitely recommend spending some time familiarizing yourself with the vocabulary that they're going to use, the options that you have. Read a lot of other people's opinions on why they did what they did, because everyone's body's different. Everyone's going to react differently to this surgery and to what it means for you in life later on. So the decisions that I made were, I was going to have the preventative double mastectomy, so they would remove all of the breast tissue and my breast surgeon would do that. Then my plastic surgeon was responsible for the reconstruction part, and we decided to do round silicone implants, and I had requested them to be small. So pre-surgery I was about a 36 triple D for bra size. I didn't really want that. I was over having large breasts, so I actually requested maybe a B cup, which I think surprised her. But I don't regret it at all. I'm thrilled to have smaller chest at this point. So they ended up deciding that the expanders that they were going to put in, which is post-mastectomy, so in the same surgery, they kind of switch from one doctor to the other, and the plastic surgeon puts pectoral expanders underneath the pectoral muscle, and then they will fill those at a slow rate the couple weeks after your surgery. So they ended up putting in pectoral expanders that could hold about 350 cc's of saline. So I would be no bigger than that. So that was also a major decision, and that kind of told my surgeon how to create the tissue pocket in my chest cavity once they had removed all of my breast tissue. And then the third big thing that I had to decide was, would I keep my nipples or would I just go without them. So my decision was that I did not want nipple sparing, and the reasons behind that were that it would make an easier surgery for the surgeon and for myself when it came to healing. She also informed me that keeping nipples can make your recovery a lot more difficult, and it can also bring its own subset of potential problems. So the way that my breast tissue was on my body originally, they would have had to remove them completely and then put them back on, and there was no guarantee that they wouldn't necrotize or die because they were completely detaching them. So that, coupled with the fact that she told me that some women have permanently erect nipples forever and you would have no feeling in them, it almost seemed like what would be the point. And then her third point, which really kind of stuck it home for me, is she said, if you're going with a 250 to 300 cc potential permanent implant, having no nipples would mean you will never have to wear a bra again. And that was like sold, instant, that's the way we're gonna go. Like I said, going from a triple D size breast to what I have right now, thrilled. That was probably one of the best decisions, even though I think a lot of people, when friends or family found out that was the decision I made, there was a lot of questioning. But it was really about what I wanted, what I would feel comfortable with down the road. So pre-surgery, I watched a lot of other people's videos, things of like, what did I buy to prepare for my surgery? And a lot of people bought a lot of stuff that I didn't really feel like it was necessary. So I did buy 3 things to prepare myself for the surgery. The first one, which I would highly recommend, is a wedge pillow. So I got this giant wedge pillow from Amazon. When you are coming home post-surgery, you can't lay on your side. Laying flat on my back was actually also incredibly painful. So having a wedge pillow and then propping pillows up behind both arms, down my hips, I was kind of like cocooned because they've done so much work removing tissue up here and your muscles are just pissed. So having no strain or no stretch on those chest muscles for the first 2 weeks was really, really helpful. And the other thing that I bought were a couple of button-up shirts. So I had my surgery for my mastectomy on February 19th, 2020, so in the winter. And I just bought a couple kind of longer button-up shirts. I think I got them on clearance at Marshall's. This one was actually my favorite because it has snaps instead of buttons, which, believe me, when you feel like crap, it's really nice to be able to snap and unsnap. I did read that a lot of people would buy special cardigans or shirts that they could clip their drains into, and I just didn't want to spend the money on it. I actually ended up, because these were so cheap, I ended up safety pinning my drains to the inside of my shirts. The first week you will not be able to lift your arms above 30 degrees or so. So I really just wore these with like really loose fitting pajama pants. And that worked really well for me. I didn't feel like I needed any of that special stuff. So something that was also a bit different for me versus what I read from other people is that when I first came out of surgery, I had like a corset on. I've since thrown it away because I never wore it. They took it off of me the day after the surgery because I had no bruising, I had really no swelling, and it was making it hard to breathe. So my surgeon came in, she checked everything over, she checked all of my incisions, and she was like, I don't think you need this, so don't wear it. So I really just wore these 2 shirts every day for like 2 weeks, and that was fine. That was totally cool. I was off work for 2.5 weeks. I should have been off work for longer, but because I have a desk job, I actually ended up going to work part-time, like 4 hours a week, pretty shortly after my surgery. So the day of the surgery, I actually had my husband Marcus write down notes of everything that happened, just so that I could kind of look back on it. And then through the couple days and weeks that followed, I wrote my own notes just so that I'd remember what happened, because especially right after surgery, you're not going to remember anything. So the day of my surgery, I arrived at 6:30 a.m. They took me back to Preop. The first hour of surgery was basically a lot of nurses coming in, getting my IV, giving me some Valium. My parents showed up, that kind of stuff. The second hour, that's when all of my physicians, all of my surgeons, so the oncology surgeon, the plastic surgeon, I had a fellow and a couple students come in, my anesthesiologist, they all came in and introduced themselves. Some of them checked certain things in my chart or asked me questions. And that was really nice of them to come in and introduce themselves. I feel like it made me feel a little bit less stressful, because when they wheel you back into the OR, like, you are kind of cognizant of who these people are then. It's not just people with masks on. One thing about the surgery that I didn't learn or didn't realize until the day before the surgery is that the way that my anesthesiologist does this surgery is that they give you general anesthesia for the actual surgery, but then they also do a nerve block pre-procedure, where they do a nerve block in your back, so that you have no feeling in your chest for about 24 to 48 hours post-surgery. And the reason that they do that is so that they don't have to give you the narcotics post-surgery, so that they can really get rid of a lot of the pain medication. It's a pain management option, and while it scared me, it really scared me to do that, because it was kind of like, they called it the block party, which is really funny. They took me into a special anesthesia room just before taking me to the OR, and they gave me some fentanyl and some midazolam in my IV to kind of calm me down, and then they had me sit on the side of the bed. The anesthesiologist then basically injected 4 spots on my back to numb my entire chest. I was so out of it with the fentanyl and all of that I really didn't feel it. I do recall going into the OR, but beyond that, the next thing I knew, I was back in my post-op room, and there was my husband and my parents, and I really don't remember the first day after surgery. There's a lot of apparent conversations that I had and things that I said that I don't remember, so it is what it is. My surgery total, because I had 2 surgeons, was about 3.5 to 4 hours. My oncology my breast surgeon, who did the removal of tissue, took about 3 hours of OR, and then my plastic surgeon took about 1 hour of OR. And then I got to my post-op room at about 1:45 in the afternoon. So going in at 6:30 a.m., post-op room at 1:45. So pretty quick day for such a major surgery. And then as far as the hospital stay post-surgery, I was there overnight. The entire shebang with the surgery and all of that, they, aside from the sedation that they gave me for the procedure and the nerve block in my chest, they only gave me 1 dose of oxycodone the night of or after my surgery, because I couldn't sleep. I just was rolling around and just wasn't happy, so they gave me that, and that's the only narcotic pain medication I have taken throughout this entire process. So that may not be normal. I've read a lot of other people's stories where they were on pain medications for a long time. Again, I'm young, I'm healthy, I healed really well and really quickly, so that could just be something very specific to me. Might also just have a really high pain tolerance. I don't know. But that was really the surgery. The couple weeks leading up, the surgery itself, and then just right after the surgery. So I want to do the next part. So part 3 of this will be post-mastectomy and the rough 6 weeks or so what to expect or what I went through post-mastectomy. So if you have questions or comments about this part of my process, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to add anything, if there was anything that you purchased or anything that you went through with this that might help someone else's journey, please also put that below. Anything is helpful. Any little bits that might help someone else in this process, I'm sure they would be grateful for. So thank you for watching part 2 of my BRCA1 and preventative mastectomy journey, and I will see you in part 3. Thanks. Bye.